Hey, I'm Rachel Camp, and our group did our project on Jordan Casteel.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Chong. Our group came together to discuss our chosen piece, Jonathan, and create a PowerPoint presentation on Jordan Casteel. Danielle Cifrodelli, our lovely English major, took charge of editing. Rachel and I will be doing the voiceover. Finally, Sarah Carpenter brought it all together in this video. Jonathan by Jordan Casteel. Oil on canvas, size 72 by 54 inches, released in 2014. Now, here's a brief background on Jordan Casteel. Jordan Casteel was born in Denver, Colorado in 1989. She is still alive today. For her education, Jordan Casteel went to Agnes Scott College here in Atlanta, Georgia, where she pursued a Bachelor's of Art and received a degree in studio art. She continued her education at Yale School of Art and received an MFA in painting and printmaking. She has also had multiple residencies in New York, starting with Yaddo, hosted in Saratoga Springs, New York in 2015, Lower Manhattan Cultural Council Process Space on Governor's Island, New York, also in 2015. The Studio Museum in Harlem, New York, which was also hosted on 2015. And finally, the Sharp Wallentis Studio Program, hosted in Dumbo, New York, in 2016. She is featured all over the place, like Art Forum, New York Times, Flash Art, New York Magazine, Fader, Elle Magazine, Time Out New York, The New York Observer, and Interview Magazine. Today, Jordan Casteel lives in New York. She is an assistant professor at Rutgers University, Newark, and she is represented by her agent, Casey Kaplan.
Her art. Most of Casteel's art is large-scale oil and canvas. Her muses are from her community. She uses figurative paintings of black men, and it's a remediation of photography into painting. One of her quotes is, "I am simultaneously pushing against and embracing a history that has omitted my presence in the presence of my brothers. I am very much a painter, intimately drawn to the medium's ability to present the complexities of human nature and emotion in a two-dimensional form."
Here are some bullet points of our initial reactions from the group. The blue and yellow lines exacerbate his sadness. The figure appears to be forlorn and sad, lonely even. His demeanor is uncomfortable, and he seems stern. The light casting on him makes him appear almost sickly. The reflection of colors off of the figure are depressing. In contrast to sickly appearance, the room is very tidy and modern. His nudity gives the impression that he has been stripped of his pride and dignity.
Description. Objects and events. Nude man is sitting on a yellow couch with a colorful and busy foliage pattern. There are blue walls with a mirror leaning against it and a yellow lamp. The room is basic and small, well taken care of, but cheap. Looks like a grandmother's house. Elements. Uses curved and roughly defined lines and shapes. The smooth textures are used for a subject's skin, the walls, lamp, and couch. Cool blues and greens are complemented by bright, warm yellows. Colors are saturated and bold. The wall, floor, and lamp act as negative space in the painting. Principles. Though our focus is drawn to the human in the foreground, the piece has a sense of unity due to the other details in the room. Exhibits asymmetrical composition, and perspective is used to highlight depth in the room. The scale of the figure's body compared to the scale of furniture is accurate. It has a heavy contrast of bright colors of the room versus the dull reflection of light on and dark colors of the figure's body. The mirrors add additional depth to the composition of the room. Media tools and techniques. It's traditional oil on canvas. It's a remediation of photography, upwards to 200 photographs used to build composition. She paints the entire canvas first to cover up the white. The mood is sad and lonely. Individuals are not archetypes, subjects of her painting.
Continuing on with the description, Jonathan functions as a representation of the oppression and stereotypes of African American men. It is meant to be evocative as it prompts consideration and discussion, as well as it is supposed to be decorative. The artist's lives and intentions. Jordan Casteel attended an all-white private middle school and then transferred to a local inner-city high school, where her transition was a little rough, but even harder on her brother. When she returned to her community after graduating from Yale, she had a strong cultural tie. She was a teacher before deciding to take her art to a professional level. For her art, she takes photographs of her family and the people in her neighborhood. Then, she learns their background and their life stories and incorporates them into her paintings. Subjects are often surrogates for her twin brother. People often think that she's a man before they meet her because she paints nude black men. Her goal is humanizing African American stereotypes when history has often portrayed black men as sexualized and deviant subjects, as well as hardened people. Jordan is inspired by multiple sources, starting with the murder of Trayvon Martin. Another source of inspiration is her brother's story of being followed and monitored by people in the grocery store just because he is black. In addition, her experience of being bullied as a child because she came from a different background than the other kids at her school. Her twin was bullied more physically and had to become tougher because of the societal ideal of how black men are supposed to act. And this is how her perspective of how African American men are treated in our country started developing from first-hand experience.
The formal characterization of this piece leaves you feeling uncomfortable from his stern facial expression. Also, he appears stripped of many qualities such as dignity and happiness. But at least he has shelter in a well-cared-for room with basic furnishings. He has shelter, furnishings, and books, but it seems like he's missing something. He looks uneasy. His genitalia is covered, which offers him moderate dignity. Although being nude with his foot in his hands can be considered vulnerable in our society.
Interpretation. The couch has busy colors and a chaotic design, which we believe these represent the multitude of struggles of African American men. He looks like he is tired of the daily struggles that he is faced with, the social mentality that black men are dangerous, especially in the Bronx. There is also a history of stripping black men, even hanging and castrating them while nude. His nudity shows that he is comfortable with himself, maintaining his dignity by covering his genitalia. This painting is intimate because we are in the privacy of his own home. He seems to be rubbing his feet after a long day at work. He is a hard-working man. This contradicts the threatening and deviant stereotype that society believes in. There is no drug paraphernalia. He has a clean, tidy, and normal home, and the blue and yellow tones are calming.
The evaluation of this piece. Was it successful? Yes. Why? It makes one think of the different aspects of painting. You look into a deeper meaning of home and the comforts one should have. The weight of the world shouldn't be in your home, but maybe for some African Americans it is. Opinion. I based my opinion around the details of the living space and how I feel in my own home. Then I compared it to the piece and how it made me feel after looking and thinking about my life. Aesthetic theory. I feel like the art is making a statement. Maybe she is trying to create emotion by how the male in the painting may have shelter and essentials, but he is barely maintaining his dignity and is nude, covering himself in what seems to be his own home. Expressionistic. Casteel's definitely caused emotion with her work. The colors in the scene just cause one to consider and realize emotions. Mimicked realistic looking. non-photorealism.
Evaluation continued. Foremost, no. This painting is realistic, but not necessarily correct in color and perspective. There are no precise outlines or edges that blend together, and there are no definite lines. Pragmatist. Her work does something important. It shows the vulnerable side of a black male instead of the stereotype that society believes in. Her craft is clean, and her composition is organized. She uses oil paints successfully to create a story, and she has better paintings that show more skill than this one, but we felt this one was a little less because the perspective on her legs were a little difficult to determine. Postmodern, it is appropriation, recycling imagery, because it is photo to painting. Gazing. This piece is challenging a stereotype. Representation. Casteel has an artistic voice within a cultural origin. She lets her heritage and race speak through her work.
Casteel's views on race, ethnicity, and culture. When interviewed, Jordan was asked what needed to be done so that black artists and black culture was better represented in today's mainstream culture. Her response perfectly depicts the struggles that they are working hard to overcome and to get the recognition they deserve. She is quoted saying, "Today is going to be the same. There is no not seeing. You will see us. We as black artists will continue to fight for that visibility. And we can do that. But it is also going to mean that the mainstream art world has to accept that there are more than a few and that there is some true talent out there."
Other works by Casteel. Starting with the top three, going left to right, there are Jerome, released in 2014, Jabari, released in 2013, and Ato, released in 2014. These paintings depict a more intimate and vulnerable side of an African American male. We want to show you Casteel's other works in relation to her piece, Jonathan, and her mission to challenge the public's perspective on black men. Moving on to the bottom, there are Timothy, the Twins, and the Bay Falls. These are other more recent works with different purposes that we would just like to show you for your enjoyment.
Thank you so much for your time.
And I hope you enjoyed our presentation of Jordan Casteel. Have a good day.
Bye.